Hey everyone, Catalyst here. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you all are doing well. Today we are going to be doing some updated power rankings for all the specialists in Battlefield 2042 now that the class system update has finally arrived to the game earlier this week. The last time we ranked all of them was at the start of Season 3 a couple of months ago, and things have definitely changed, so as promised, it's time for some new rankings. However, today we're going to be doing things a little bit differently than normal. With the previous rankings videos, we ranked all the specialists in numerical order from last to first, and I provided a couple of nice clips for each specialist, but after doing that a couple of times, it became a little bit harder to definitively rank the specialists and put them in order, and a lot of you would comment and say, Catalyst, well what about this aspect to this specialist, and I think this makes him better at this than this other specialist that you think is good. Let's just say that there was a lot of overlap, particularly in the middle of the pack of specialists. Mostly everybody agreed about the top specialists, so today we're going to be doing a tier list to try and make these rankings a little bit more open-ended. Now normally I think tier lists are lazy, but in this case I think it will work nicely for what we are trying to accomplish. So I'm going to turn on the old webcam today and we are going to talk about some specialists. Lastly, before we begin, the usual disclaimer: a lot of the video assumes that you know how these specialists work, so if you have any questions about specialists' primary and passive abilities or their playstyles, you should definitely watch my How to Not Suck series videos on the specialists you have questions about. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's rank the specialists in Battlefield 2042 after the class update. Alright, so we are here with the tier maker. I don't think I've ever actually done a tier list on the channel before because, like I said, I find them to be really lazy. So we've got the camera, we've got the tier list. It's actually not quite finished though. Here, actually, let's go ahead and do this. Where is he? Where's Dozer? Okay, here he is. Let's get that one out of the way. The way that we're doing this list might be changing, but it doesn't change who the worst specialist in the game is by any stretch of the imagination. Did you really think that there was going to be a specialist rankings video without Dozer slander? You guys must be new to the channel. Okay, now we can get into the actual list now that that business is done. And yes, before you say anything, yes, this is a different shirt. Yes, I've manifested a hat out of nowhere because the original recording, let's just say it kind of got screwed up a little bit. So we go again. All right, and now let's move on to Irish, who is an easy S tier specialist. I think a lot of people can easily agree that Irish is S tier. This is a no-brainer for me. As I said the last time we made the rankings video, it is harder and harder for you to play this game and not recognize the impact that Irish has on the game. And that's just one Irish player. That doesn't even mention the fact that Irish is a popular specialist to begin with, so there's automatically going to be more Irishes playing. Irish is just so strong now, and he does so much on the battlefield. The main thing that he lost with the class update is now that his armor regen ability is now completely out of the game. The only people that have armor in the game now are the assault class specialists, but in return, Irish has gotten the defibrillators and the ability to revive anybody and do it quickly, so I think that's almost a net positive for Irish, and it definitely has more synergy with his kit than the original passive trait that he did. Irish just does so much now. Not only can he have the APS Sentinel system, which is the best defensive gadget in the game, it negates so much of this game's explosive spam, it's so good, but he also has the shield, which synergizes well with his new abilities, and he also has Crawford's old passive ability, which allows him to resupply gadget ammo. So not only can Irish negate explosive spam, he can also put down shields to make objectives more defendable and help revive teammates, and he can resupply gadget ammo. Like, that's a lot of good things that one specialist can do. So Irish is an easy S tier specialist. I don't think many people will disagree with this. So with that, we move on to Paik. And Paik is probably, I would say Paik is the specialist that got hit the hardest with this class update. Because to me personally, I don't think she's good at all. We're going to put Paik in the not good category, and the main reason is that, similar to some other specialists, her kit and her class that she was put into really clash with one another. I think she would serve better as an assault specialist, but I understand why she's not, considering that there were already other specialists that also could have been considered assault specialists. And I just think that Paik right now is going through a bit of an identity crisis with this update. You used to be able to be really aggressive with her, you know, pop your ability, run in with an SMG, maybe use some C5, and clear entire objectives and be really effective with Paik. But now you can't really do that. I mean, you can still use the wall hack scanner and C5 combo, but everything else just clashes with her kit. There are very few redeeming qualities about this iteration of Paik, and all of them have to do with the fact that a wall hack ability is just always going to be good. It's always going to be strong. But other than that, the weapon proficiency for the Recon class clashes with her playstyle. The gadgets available to the Recon class clashes with her playstyle, apart from the insertion beacon. I just don't feel like Paik is very good with this meta, and she got really hurt with the class update, and there are other better specialists to play. And with that, moving back into the S tier specialists, we have Falk here. Falk is another no-brainer, easy S tier pick for this tier list. Medics in Battlefield have always been strong, and more so than that, like any FPS game in which you have a character that has health readily available to them, they're going to be strong. But especially with this current meta, Falk is just insane. From a selfish perspective, she essentially has 12 of the assault class's med pens available to her, and on the unselfish part of that is that she has 12 stim shots in which she can heal anybody at any time from any range if she's good enough to hit those shots. The amount of healing that she can dish out, double that with the other side of the coin in which, you know, that also operates as her own self-sustain. It's just absolutely insane how much of a healing potential she has. Now, sure, it sucks that you can't run other gadgets with her, but I think that kind of helps her in a weird way. I think that helps the game overall, because now the people that are playing Falk are doing so to like actually put out healing instead of being kind of this super soldier that can do all this healing and then do anti-tank as well. I think that kind of just helps the game in that manner, but I don't feel like I really need to explain why Falk is so strong. Meta characters go Burr, S tier specialist. Let's move on. Okay, and then moving on to Rao, who originally I had in the good but inconsistent tier list, but I'm actually going to drop down to the mid-AF tier list, but like I'm gonna have him as the highest one in this tier list, like almost flexing into the good but inconsistent tier list. Look, Rao is a weird one, and he's always been a weird one, because I think he got a nice buff while also getting a nerf in this update. Like they made some changes to his kit. His hack now is not so much personally annoying and strong, but it's stronger overall in a team sense. Because they nerfed the amount of time in between hacks, but they allowed it to where Rao hacks vehicles and it paints them for lock-on for pretty much every single engineer class in the game, apart from Liz, in which her rocket obviously doesn't operate like that. I do think it's a net positive though for Rao, and I think Rao is probably currently the best recon specialist. We do know that the season 4 specialist is going to be a recon, so we don't know how long that will last, but I do think that the synergy potential with Rao is really good, and that's why he's still a problem for vehicles. And as we talked about in the last video, he does present some balancing issues when used correctly in a squad. My problem with Rao and why I moved him down to the mid tier is because I feel like he's a little bit misplaced in terms of the class system, kind of like Paik. I think he has more value as an engineer, but I understand why he isn't. Rao is kind of the vehicle Grim Reaper, but he's not in the engineer class, if that makes sense. You can tell that, you know, the developers really kind of wanted Rao to be a hack all specialist and have him hack infantry and hack vehicles, but his infantry hack abilities are almost never used. And he really is just only effective against vehicles. So it's kind of like half of his kit is ineffective. He's purely an anti-vehicle specialist in the recon kit. His kit clashes a little bit. And I think overall, Liz is better. Liz is the better vehicle Grim Reaper right now, which is why I kind of dropped him down into the mid-AF tier. I think Rao also does suffer from some class identity issues, so he's going to be good against vehicles. We all know he's going to be good against vehicles, but his kit overall, still, even with the tweaks, is just kind of mid. And here we move to Boris, and Boris is going to be the first specialist in the annoying with numbers tier. Here's the thing with Boris, and I'm going to try to say this as tactfully as possible. I have never spotted a Boris player and have actually felt threatened by the Boris player. Actually, come to think of it, I think I always spot the turret first before I actually spot the player. And the way that Boris works, because of his passive that incentivizes you to play close to the turret, when I kill a Boris turret, I am usually pre-aimed and ready for the Boris player to peek me, and I kind of consider that a free kill. Now, obviously, it depends on how much health I have, how much ammo I have, but I would say about 80% of the time, I kill the Boris turret, and I'm ready to kill the Boris player, and I kill the Boris player. The big change for Boris now is that his turret does damage against vehicles. I think on the patch notes it said about 0.08% damage per shot, which I think it fires in shots of 6. I need to check up on that, but I think it fires in shots of 6, so that's about 6 HP per burst, and unless you're in one of those light vehicles like the Lat-V Recon, the vehicle is going to destroy the turret, so it's kind of just blatantly ineffective, and I just do not think that Boris is good. As far as specialists fitting their roles, him being engineer is practically worthless in my opinion. I don't see why you would run Boris over Liz and Crawford. The only thing that's saving him from being in the not great category or the not good category is the fact that if there are a lot of players playing Boris in the match, then his turret spam can get annoying, and he still does get to spot people with his turret. So with a good amount of Boris players, Boris will be annoying and you will notice him, but other than that, like, that's the only thing that is saving him from being in the not good category. I think Boris is mostly a useless specialist. I think people might disagree with that, but I don't find Boris personally effective on the battlefield at all. So he is going to be in the annoying with numbers category, but definitely deserves to be ranked lower. Okay, next we have Zayn. Zayn is a borderline S tier specialist, but I'm going to put him in the good but inconsistent tier, but he definitely could stretch up into the S tier. I think the thing that I really enjoy about Zayn right now, and something that I think gives him a leg up with this class update, is his passive health regen ability when you get a kill with Zayn. Because you only get one med pen in the assault class now, having other ways to regen your health besides the normal slow regen is huge. It's huge. So with other assault specialists, if you take a lot of chip damage, so let's say you spawn and then you get explosive damage from a helicopter and you feel like you are about to get into a gunfight, you have to burn your med pen in order to survive. But with Zayn, because you have that passive trait, all you need to do is play a little bit more passively and ratty, and you get that health regen by killing another player. So you really have greater discretion over when you use that med pen, and I think it's really valuable that you don't have to immediately burn the med pen when you take damage when you're playing with Zayn, because you have that alternate option to regain health and do it very quickly. The reason that Zayn is not an S tier specialist is because I go back and forth on how good the airburst actually is. It's absolutely, without a doubt, annoying to play against, but using it, I found it to be inconsistent. Now, maybe that's a bit of a skill issue on my part, but sometimes you get massive feeds, and other times you have a group of players and you shoot out all of your airburst and you get absolutely no hits, even though you feel like you've dialed incorrectly. I just feel like it's inconsistent. Apart from that, the rest of his kit has just really, really good synergy. The extra ammo with assault rifles that you get plays right into the ideal engagement distance for Zayn, which also plays into the ideal engagement distance for his airburst, and his health on kill passive is very useful. Zayn is just a very well synergized specialist, and if his airburst was better, he would be S tier, but since it's inconsistent, we're going to put him in the good but inconsistent tier. Sundance is also a specialist that I have in the good but inconsistent tier, but trending downwards toward the mid-AF tier. I would put Sundance as the last specialist in terms of ranking in the good but inconsistent tier. I think it's widely believed and upheld that Sundance has the best mobility in the entire game. The problem is that that's so map dependent, and when you are on a map that doesn't cater to her wingsuit, the rest of her suit, or the rest of her kit rather, is really just kind of mid. The problem is that, again, like I said, it's map dependent. Like Spearhead, for example, horrible Sundance map because you have very little verticality that allows you to get around the map quickly. Stranded, on the other hand, great Sundance map. There's plenty of places to jump from. I feel like that's one of her stronger maps. It's a great Sundance map, and she's very strong on that map. So it's very map dependent. But like I said, the rest of her kit, the grenade aspect to it has been so gutted that it's almost kind of an afterthought at this point. The scatter grenade is good at area denial and area coverage when you use it correctly. Like, you could toss a scatter at an area you know enemies are bunching up in, and it offers you the ability to take space because obviously the scatter grenade like scatters and disperses. It's a cluster grenade, so that's going to push players back. It's going to give you more ability to take open space, but you know, other than that, just because of how hit or miss her wingsuit ability is, she really is a situational pick, unless you're like me and play a lot of Sundance early on in the game and you're kind of experienced in using them. So good but inconsistent, trending towards mid-tier for me for Sundance. So next, it looks like we have Angel. Angel, to me, is the embodiment of mid. Angel is just the perfect illustration of a character that got nerfed hard and has never really recovered since then. He's not a bad specialist by any means, he just is an armor angel, and he never will be again. And he's kind of the odd man out in the support class, which has 2 S-tier specialists already. You can still run ammo crates with both Irish and Falk, so obviously Angel's main ability, which is the ammo pouches, is just a more focused ability of something that other specialists can also do. And, you know, the assault proficiency as well, now that I think about it, is also kind of a bit of a nerf to Angel because assault rifle using assault specialists get more ammo. So, I mean, I say this pretty much every time now, but Angel is a product of a game in which ammo is the most readily available it's ever been, and that makes him a lot worse than he could be. The only thing that's preventing him from being closer down to like the not good section is the fact that his resupply crate now is really good. It synergizes greatly with engineer classes. I mean, the resupply drop was good before, but now it kind of has a target audience. I feel like Angels before were just kind of dropping it willy-nilly, and maybe the placing of the resupply drop wasn't as good and it wasn't getting utilized as effectively. But now I feel like the people that need the resupply drop are knowing when to look for it, and if you are a good Angel and you drop the resupply drop in a good spot, it's really effective. And that's really the only thing for me that is keeping Angel in the mid AF category as opposed to going down to the not good category, because I don't really think that Angel is annoying with numbers. I don't think that categorizes him well. So speaking of specialists that deserve to be in the not good tier, we have Casper here. My opinion on Casper has mostly gone unchanged with this class update. In fact, I think he's gotten worse, which is why he's going to be in the not good tier with Paik. Like I said, in my opinion in the last video, Casper's recon drone is extremely strong, and yes, you can spot the entire team, and yes, you'll see Casper's topping the leaderboard with the most assists in the game, but past that one player that's doing that for the team, every subsequent Casper that's also lying prone in a bush and recon droning is practically useless and is a negative to the team. They're wasting the time, they are not being as effective as they could be. Because you can only spot people once. You know, you spot people once, and then you can't spot them again until the spot runs out, and you only need one Casper player to do that. It really is just less viable for you to be a Casper that runs around and helps your team around the point, which is what his passive would entice you to do, but now you don't really have the gadgets to help you with that, apart from C5, kind of similarly to Paik. Casper really is a specialist that kind of got shoved into a locker that just says sniper bitch over it. Like, that's his new role now. Like, before you had options that made him useful when you weren't recon droning, but now he just really fulfills that ghillie suit rat sniper role that he stereotypes. So yeah, he's not the greatest for me personally. I don't consider him to be very good. The class update took away a lot of his utility to be helpful in other ways apart from being a spotting machine. So yeah, if you are the recon specialist that is spotting everybody with a recon drone, good for you. You're contributing. For every other subsequent Casper player on the map, you should be playing a different specialist. Okay, so a little bit of chance for redemption for me now. I always thought that Crawford was a top 5 specialist in the game when he was out. I ranked him as number 5 last time, and people didn't agree with me very much on that. I always thought that Crawford was a specialist that if you took the time to learn him and you had good map awareness, you had good map knowledge, then you could really become a nuisance with Crawford, and you can lock down entire enemy pushes if you put your minigun in the right spot. And obviously he used to have the quick revive with his passive ability that is now Irish's passive ability. But after the class update, Crawford has been left in kind of a weird middle area with the changes to his kit. That's going to move him down to the annoying with numbers tier. The changes to his kit have made him into an engineer, but the changes don't really make him a strong engineer, if that makes sense. And he also isn't as good anymore against infantry, so I kind of need to place him here above Boris, with like him flexing into the mid-AF tier potentially, depending on how you use him. He's essentially the repair bitch of the game now. His passive ability now gives him increased repair speed, so he's going to be the vehicle player's specialist of choice. But, you know, apart from that, multiple turrets or multiple minigun users will be annoying, which is why he's in the annoying with numbers tier. But he doesn't have that anti-infantry punch anymore. I don't really think he's that great against vehicles, except if they're low on health or they're a lighter vehicle, like, again, like the Bolt or the Recon. I don't like that I can't 5D chess people anymore with Crawford by locking down an entire push on an off angle with his minigun. It's just not strong enough anymore. So I think I'll have to bite the bullet on this one, redeem myself, and put him in the annoying with numbers category. I still think he's better than Paik and Casper, and I think I would, honestly, I think I would place him better than Boris, but he's not the greatest specialist in the game currently. And, you know, quickly to wrap up this video before my voice dies completely, we're going to put Liz in the good but inconsistent tier. Liz is a specialist that I struggled to place, to be honest with you, because I do think she has qualities that make her more fit into the annoying with numbers category, but I think she's good. Like, I think she's a good specialist, and that category I'm kind of reserving for specialists that I don't think are all that great. Apart from just solo now, from a solo standpoint, Liz is much better with the class update because her rocket got some needed buffs. It might not have been the way that I would have balanced the rocket. It's got an increased range, it's got increased turning speed, it's easier to use now in a lot of ways. I think the class update has really helped Liz because of those changes. Like, before the update, her TGM was inconsistent, and there were many times where you felt like flaming and using a recoilless launcher was just better than running Liz, especially if there wasn't a lot of her. But now, since you can't freely do that, Liz has more worth, her rocket is better, and her passive is still really nice and underrated, so she moves up to the good but inconsistent tier. She's good now. Especially because you can't just use the recoilless and shoot everything. You kind of need Liz to be more accurate, so she has more worth on the battlefield. She's good but inconsistent. And finally, it's kind of funny that we always end with McKay. McKay is Dozer tier now. He is awful. He's the worst specialist in the game. And that's what I would say if he wasn't an S tier specialist. McKay is just good. He's good. Like, I think this class update has definitely narrowed the gap between McKay and everybody else. Other specialists got increased strafe speed, so by proxy, McKay got a nerf. They also reduced the range of his grapple. Realistically speaking, I don't see a world in which McKay is not going to be a top 3 specialist in the game until DICE finally pull the plug and rework the nimble trade. If you've heard this from me before, then I'm sorry, you're going to hear it again. I think McKay's nimble trait needs to be reworked. I think all specialists should have the strafe speed that he has, and nimble should be relegated to just faster zipline, ladder speed, lack of fall damage, that type of thing. I feel like McKay is just going to be a top 3 specialist in the game until that. And he's just good. The grapple hook is good. The strafe speed is good. He is a 1v1 gunfight nightmare to go up against. And, yeah, he'll continue to be a top 3 specialist in the game until Nimble is reworked. So, that is my tier list. Actually, you know, kind of looking at it, the way that we have everything organized, apart from Dozer just being a complete meme character, every single tier has like a nice, like, organizing of specialists. The OCD in my brain is happy with that. That's my tier list. I'm very interested to hear what you guys think about the tier list. Am I wrong in some cases? Do you agree with me? Where would you place the specialist in your tier list? You can add tiers, you can subtract tiers. Just let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure that you drop a like on it. If you enjoyed it just that much, consider subscribing for more Battlefield 2042 content. Follow me on Twitter, join my Discord, follow me on Twitch, and all those other YouTube things that YouTubers say at the end of the videos. 60% of you are watching my video and are not subscribed. Last but not least, thank you all so much for watching. My name is Catalyst, and I will see you all another time.